All right, Islam, and welcome to MHHS, Eyes Wide Open. This is your host, Anaid Ill, along with my co-host, Mizraim Aleph Ill.
Peace and love, all Moors. Peace and love, Anaid. All Moors on the line. Thankful to be here.
All right. Rahsmariah Bey.
Islam, peace and love to all.
Islam. And we do have Kudjo. Kudjo. Islam.
Ah!
Islam. Peace and love, Moors.
Islam.
I thought you might sneak in.
Bro. Keep the youth in line, bro. You got to keep it straight, bro. You know?
Yeah, I'm still skyrocket, so that's why I'm still here. You know, I never came down yet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. Today's Tuesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We will not be at the National Theater. However, it is the 5th Wednesday of the month, the last day of the month of the Gregorian month of January, and we will be doing the Circle of Readers tomorrow. And let's see, we start at 7:30, so make sure and join us. We will continue reading. They were white and they were slaves. If you don't have the book, you can go to the moorishnews.wordpress website, and you can download the PDF. Just go to last Wednesday's class, and you can download the PDF. And if you'd like a hard copy, you can go to Amazon.com, and you can order a hard copy there. But in the meantime, you can download the PDF and follow along tomorrow. And then I think that ends the month for our broadcast, and then, let's see, Wednesday begins February. So, want to send a big shout-out to the family listening around the world near the various corporations. Peace and love. Thank you so much for joining, for listening, for sending your energy. Big shout-out and peace and love to our callers calling in every Tuesday, filling up the phone line before the broadcast even begins. We so appreciate you, and we appreciate you calling in and sharing and building together as we collectively, all in humanity, one more at a time. All right. So today's topic of discussion is entitled, Do You Know How the States Calculate Their Population? And that is based on membership. Now, if you were listening in, I think last Tuesday, I don't know, it all blurs together. The days are just flying by. I don't know if it was last Tuesday or the last time he was at the class. I don't remember. But if you were listening in to previous broadcasts, we talked about how if you go to any of these state or commonwealth websites, in fact, municipal corporations as well, and you look at their population, they usually have a census, and I believe one of the ones that we looked at was from 2010, and it showed you their census according to the brand. Now, the distinction here is what they're classifying as white as modern Europeans. That's the type of human species, and then everything else really is usually falls under some type of brand of Asiatic. The Asiatic is another type of human species. There's only two species of humans on planet Earth. You're either Asiatic or you're modern European. So according to the Constitution, there's certain qualifications for you to be a qualified state, right? So if you read and study the Moroccan American Constitution of 1791, it tells you that a state and or commonwealth is valid only if it maintains a certain number of members. They call this the population. Of this membership and population, all must voluntarily agree to be a member, thereby creating a population. Did you know that the only people who can be a member of these entities are the lineal descendants of the Slavics, which were and are the original slaves, modern Europeans, erroneously today called white people? Did you know that those of African descent cannot be members of any state or commonwealth? This is not Anaid speaking. It's right in the Moroccan American Constitution of 1791. So, if the only people who can be members of the states, thereby the United States of America, the U.S.A., are modern Europeans, why are the so-called grand sheiks in the external temples telling you that you must be a member of the U.S.A.? This requires study. And I can tell you, one of the most blatantly obvious lackings, I don't even know how to put it all together, one of the things that is so lacking, I am noticing in people of today, is they have not ordered the writings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. If you haven't ordered it, you haven't read it. If you haven't read it, you don't know it. And if you haven't read it and contemplated it and turned it over in your head, it hasn't reached you on multiple levels. These things that we call multiple levels is multiple degrees. And you can only attain these degrees through study. Yet, you have people running here and there like a herd of cattle after anything that anybody says or anything that comes across their desk or their homegirl or their homeboy brings to their attention. And, you know, and everything is absolutely designed to keep you from studying. It's 1,000% distraction. And it's very effective. All of these social media outlets, you know, I don't care what it is, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever, all of it does one thing, distracts you. What is it distracting you from? Study. If it's distracting you from study, then you don't know really and truly many people have not even attained the first degree. Really. They haven't.
No.
They haven't attained the first degree. And so, and you demonstrate this by what you say and what you do. And modern Europeans, I will say this over and over and over again, they know more about the heritage of the Moors than the lineal descendants of the Moors born in America today. And so when they see you showing up with an appellation that implies you have attained more than the first degree, when you haven't even attained the first degree, you become a target. And you know what? Nobody's fault but your own. Because the prophet said, I'm going to repeat myself. Study, study, study. And many people haven't even ordered his writings from the R.V. Bey Publication website, read it, and studied it. So it's not on anybody but you. Because you have the obligation to fill your cranium with the necessary information so that you can make decisions that are in the best interest of you and the family. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam. Now, did you want to say something, Kudjo?
Yeah, I just wanted to interject something before you go on.
Sure. I was going to hand it to you anyway, but go ahead.
Yeah, as a Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, don't be confused that our Bey Publications has not published the writings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Right? No matter what the cover looks like, the inside of the book is the same in all of them. Trust me, I've been to Moorish Science Temples with all different covers and all that, and the inside stuff is the same stuff. So nobody has any monopoly on Noble Drew Ali's info. Right? And again, Noble Drew Ali himself said that you can get it at expense. Right? So you don't even have to go buy it. You go on friggin' internet and get all this stuff.
Yep.
So just don't be confused that, you might hear people say, well, those people don't have what Noble Drew Ali brought or whatever. Noble Drew Ali only brought 4 books. Moorish literature, Holy Quran of Moorish Science Temple, 101 questionnaire, and Moorish guide. Oral statements is later people's stuff. That's not Noble Drew Ali stuff. But because some of the prophecies manifested, we're going to say that, okay, that some people were around and they heard certain things and certain things manifested. So we're going to go with it that it is his oral statements, period. Nothing to debate about. As far as Moors are concerned who rep Noble Drew Ali. So just know that, there's no altered versions and all of that that's out there. The principles of the information, the bottom line, the borderline, the border, the whatever it is of the information is all the same no matter what it looks like. So get it and study it, because in there is where the keys are. It's not in the Moorish Science Temple. It's Noble Drew Ali's literature is where the stuff is. It's not in the temple is where it is. Because when you go to the temple, they're going to give you Noble Drew Ali stuff. So clearly it's not about the temple.
Exactly. I didn't know that. Yeah, well, you know what? I didn't know. I'm hearing what you're saying, but that now I think I get it, because, like, for instance, the Secret Teaching of the Brotherhood of the East is a book that they would have, and inside the temple they would call it the Red Book. But when I first did that book, I didn't look at it as the Red Book at all. I looked at it for what it was in terms of its content. And then when I realized that that's what they call the Red Book, I just put a little red banner across it, so to speak, just to make the distinction. You know what I'm saying? So your point is being well made. It's the same information. It's just that, when you booked it up, they call it the Red Book. But I didn't know they were having a problem. Like, another one of them is the Quran. When you go to certain temples now, the Quran is red, white, and blue. Well, we already know that originally it was green and red, which represents, Venus and Mars, which is the mother and son, the masculine and feminine principles, and that was original. But they don't have that now, but internally it's the same book. So I didn't know there was an issue about, yeah.
No, but the reason for that is because, remember, that was an adept chamber book. That wasn't a book that was amongst everybody to have. But why was it an adept chamber book? Because the individuals who are claiming to be reincarnated Noble Drew Ali had to have a holy book if they were the prophet come again. So they took the adept stuff and presented it like this is something, sacred or hidden that this guy brought. Like they say in the adept chamber, in the Supreme Grand Council, in the Supreme Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple, everybody knows that Kurtman Bey is the one who brought that book forward.
Okay.
As far as Moors know what that book is. prior to that, it was an adept chamber book.
I see.
That when you become an adept, that's the next degrees. So when you get the degree and you realize that the priesthood is dead, you're supposed to take that as, now it's our turn. We have the title to the vast estate. But no, they were jealous of the fame and nobility and chose to play games with what Noble Drew Ali brought to people, which is why there's this confusion today.
Oh, you mean they deemed the reincarnated?
Yeah, they would even say, again, even in the adept circle, they would say that because Tor, Kurtman Bey brought that. Mm-hmm. They don't attribute that to Noble Drew Ali. They attribute that to Kurtman Bey. Circle of the adept of the Moorish or whatever.
Oh man, that's great. Okay, all right, I see what you're saying.
Right, because they have to. If they're going to say they're reincarnated, then they're going to have something that the people don't know about, because they have everything else.
All right. Right, I see. Yeah.
This is the game that they've been playing for all these years, you know, and then that gets into the thing with the Prince House and the Christians, why Noble Drew Ali was even talking about them. The Christian leaders are the ones that's going to come and whatever. They wasn't talking about some European Christian leaders. No European Christian leaders in the 1920s. Find me one.
Would you say European Christian leaders?
No, they would say that when he made reference to Christian leaders, he's talking about Europeans. As far as Noble Drew Ali, he was making reference to Asiatic Christian leaders.
Mm-hmm.
When he's talking about shall not amalgamate and all that, he's talking to those Christian leaders who know that they're more. Not only Noble Drew Ali was talking like this. Remember, Garvey was talking like this too, because he was a student of Deuce Muhammad Ali. In the 1910 to 1925, 26, 27, whatever, when he got arrested.
Right.
It was all about more lands, birthrights, nationality, birthrights, feathers, turbans, not dressing like a Negro. What do you think Harriet Tubman was on? Don't dress like a Negro. Don't be a U.S. citizen. Be yourself. What Django say? Be yourself. Just take the whip this guy, take the gun, kill this guy, and then take over the plantation. What's the problem? So everybody wants to be U.S. citizen and Canadian citizen, and then don't even know about the laws that govern contracts, but say that they're Moors.
Right.
The whole contract, but they listen to somebody, they want to know about how to claim some house or something like that. They don't even know about contracts.
Right. Well, yeah.
Which goes back to why there was a sellout, because these people obviously had a contract with these Europeans to make sure you don't know about your birthright. Make sure you think that when you hear Holy Quran of Moorish Science Temple, it's limited to that. But that came from, like we were talking about earlier, that came out of Levi Dowling, which he's universal. Everybody knows about him. There's nothing limited info to some Moorish Science Temple. What are you talking about?
Well,
and especially when Noble Drew Ali said he came for the nations and all that. You didn't come for Negroes only. Who are you? You're nobody. Especially if you want to be Negro. You want to be that? You want to be Negro, black, colored, Ethiopian, and all that? When Prophet came and told you that you're not that, told you that you're not a U.S. citizen, you're not a U.S. citizen, you're not Negro, black, colored. That's what that is. U.S. citizen, slave, all that stuff means that you're Negro, black, colored. Anytime they say you're something other than more, know that they're calling you Negro, black, colored. I don't care what they say it is. If they don't say, hey, there's a more, there's a black guy, oh, they meant black. They meant the fraud. They meant property of whoever owns that.
Well, that's what inspired this is well, for me personally, I mean, you know, you've always known this, but sometimes, a revelation comes to affirm what you know. You know what I'm saying? And what I realize is happening now is this massive campaign. Now, they have said, the smear campaign is coming, but the smear campaign is actually temples that are temple leaders, those specific ones, that are telling the people, smearing the people, and telling them to join them and become a citizen of the U.S.A. That's the true smear campaign, the way I see it, because that's what's happening on a wide basis. These grand people who never said nothing before other than to stay within their membership or whatever, or to act as reverse church, which we all know, who have been misinformed about the information that the prophet left supposedly and proprietary to them, for sure, to spread the word or to be missionaries for certain on every, on the hedges and the highways. It is clear that now they're coming out of the cracks and the crevices on a heavy level, and they're coming out and telling people to join them, and in doing so, they have to literally slander true active Moors that are doing the work and that are being, who they are. Let's put it that way, as the prophet said. They're smearing them, slandering them, and instigating other people to do the same. But at the same time, they got this real heavy, we're coming out, and everybody should join and become a citizen of the USA. Now, strangely enough, this is happening at the time when, as Anaid pointed out, if we knew the Constitution of what a state is, what a state is not, etc., like that, and the Union state, many people, including modern Europeans, are denouncing their citizenship to the U.S.A., realizing what it is not, and that they have to also claim their nationality. And we receive, like the prophet said, this is universal, right? He only came to Moors who have been coined Negro, colored, Black, Ethiopian, etc., because they needed them the most, because this is our estate, our ancestral estate, which, by the way, already exists, so you don't have to create one. So they are, in this timely fashion, that the USA is losing their, quote, membership as a corporation, membership/citizenship, citizen, member, same thing. Here comes the grand sheiks from the infiltrated temples with join us and be a member of the USA. I mean, have you put together that that's the smear campaign? Do you see that as being that's the put you back into slavery mode?
This is the same thing that they did at Settenrad's class that we just talked about.
Yeah.
Exact same thing. These people are losing, just like U.S. is losing membership, they're losing membership. Why? Because they're part of U.S. So they have to have a smear campaign, just like Europeans have to have a smear campaign against the Moors. Dirty Moors who work with the European have to, because they're going down with the ship. Ship's going down, and they're going down with the ship. And then they're trying to bring people on the ship while the ship's going down. And people are going on.
While it's sinking.
Red lights and horns and all that stuff going off, and people are talking about, let's go on the ship. We're going to go to Jamaica for the cruise or whatever. We're going to see Bob Marley's house.
That's what I see. Now, I have to say that I feel some kind of way for the activity and the raising of the Moors that are coming in new, I'll say new, green, whatever you want to call it, who know something's wrong, that those are the ones who are getting caught the easiest in that snare. You know, they're getting caught in that snare. And go, you know what I'm saying? Because they're coming in new and they're out there doing the work to get you to be a member of the U.SLA, and the people coming in new have not studied enough yet to know, you know, the dangers of this. And then some of them try to be historians, and I'm not just talking about, you know, people in the temple, I'm just talking about people in general. Historians talking about the prophet didn't say anything about the treaty. The prophet led you to all the history that you could get by the manner in which he left you information to study. And upon doing so, you will be able to put those puzzle pieces together. You know, and what I find is that those who are on that ship, like you said, that is thinking, they come from a commercial state of mind. But what they don't realize, if they did the history, they will realize by even reading a letter from George Washington to the Sultan, which is a title, Moorish title, a position, they're saying we hope that we're useful, that the whole Treaty of Peace and Friendship to protect them and allow them to do commerce, right? And then you have more who are outside of that, trying to jump into doing that and limiting themselves because they don't have enough history information about who they really are in order to be who they really are. And all of that is rising to the top right now. But, like I said before, the lawless ones have to reveal themselves so you can see who they are. But that's what I see happening now. It would be good to know that, as you said, because they're losing membership, you're right. You compare that against the fact that the U.S.A. corporation is losing membership of people who are blind, who haven't awakened, who think that they're the governing authority over them. And so the temples who are a portion of that, because they'll say that, well, you know, we're not against the government. Now, that's what they'll tell you people coming in. But you need to identify what the government is, because they definitely have not, you know. And they'll say, well, you know, you gotta the roads belong to the state. Now, if you get someone in the MSPA or anywhere, it doesn't matter where they're from, that thinks that the roads belong to a state, then you should know that that's not true, because there is an obligation as trustees to uphold things and to take care of things, and that's all in the Constitution. But if you believe that, then you're out of order, and you may as well just go ahead and take off your turban, your fez, what you say, put the button away, and go back to the state in which you were found before you got any of this information. If you believe that, that means that you don't understand that you, chapter 1, that you'll gain back your heritage and your lost estate, or seemingly lost estate, in a conflict that can't be told around. I mean, really. So I guess since the ship is sinking, those who are attached to it will sink too. Because, for instance, here's a perfect example of what I'm saying. When they shut down, less than 10 days ago, less than 16 days ago, and then they had 16 days to continue to operate. The one thing at that initial moment is they couldn't make passports anymore. Truth is, they should not be making passports. They're the immigrants, all right? But if that corporate document that they created and you're a citizen of that and you're getting the license information, then that's who they're making it for, not the natural people. Never was. So now, you know how many emails I get, people saying, do you have a passport? Do you guys make a passport? So I'm like, wow, I understand the state of mind. And then I say, well, maybe this is an opportunity to impart information as to what a passport truly is, what it's for, what it's not for, who it's not for. You understand? So that's the only thing I can do is, you know, give them that education. Now, that opens them up. You know, that cracks their head open maybe, or whatever. But you know, they're either gonna sink or swim. But that's what I'm getting. And then, you know, and then I'm like, wow. You know, then there's all this RV Bey doesn't help people. All the information is what you're supposed to be looking at and studying. That is the help. You're not helping yourself. But I don't know. I guess it's just for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, because it just seems like this campaign, this smear slander campaign, is coming directly from or underhandedly from dirty Moors that call themselves doing the prophet's work. And upon studying the prophet's work, you will see so clearly that they're not doing that. It's on my yield.
Islam, indeed. I just wanted to add on with the whole concept of they saying, oh, well, you know, the prophet didn't mention the treaty, right? RV Bey, it's like, I was speaking on this before, like, it's never enough. It's like, it's never enough. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali went in on the Constitution. If we're going to say what he didn't say, I mean, we could say a lot of things. Like, even when he was talking about the 14th Amendment brought the North and South in unit, he didn't mention anything about Fort Monroe. He said nothing about that, but he still told the truth. So my thing is, if we're going to talk about what he didn't say, you know, we can go through all of these things, because I don't know, no member, no Grand Sheik or anybody in the Moorish Science Temple of America teaching about the history of the 14th Amendment and Fort Monroe. Like, they're not correlating that. I don't know any of them, you know, that are going in on these attributes of what nationality really is or what it means to be a Moor, because these are the same people who are naturalizing. They come from that, you know, where they're naturalizing people, you know, charging people 350 notes. Yeah, the Moorish Science Temple of America, 350 notes to do the whole naturalization ceremony thing in front of some mayors and things like that. So my whole position is, you can miss me with anything negative you have to say about RV Bey Publications, because nobody's putting you through a clown show like that. Like, not like, definitely not like that, you know, and shorten you by saying or alleging to be talking about nationality and then naturalize you as if you're a foreigner to this land. Like, I don't know what they read, if they just stuck. Like, I respect, I have high honors for the 101s, everything, the circum-7 Holy Quran, all of that. Well, what I'm saying is, like, it's a lot more knowledge out here in this world than to just be stuck on that aspect. Not that it's a bad thing, but you're not going to figure out everything in one book or 4 books or 10 books or 20. You know what I mean? Because there's, you feel me? So it's where it goes back into studying everything. You know, Noble Drew Ali, he starts off with talking about creation and the protoplast and all of these things. What Moorish Science Temple of America has done a science project about protoplast or anything like that, if we talk in science? You know what I'm saying? And these are subjects that Noble Drew Ali mentioned. Where's those lessons at? This is what I'm saying. So the applied science that Moors are actively, you know, utilizing in real life, in real time, you know, for somebody, and mind you, these people don't have really don't have any relevance, and they played themselves short like that because they were not active. And again, it's just a cycle of it coming back around to the jealousy of the fact that, you know, there was nobles who took it out to the hedges and the highways while they've been, you know, doing exactly what they're doing now, sitting in their living rooms talking shit. Excuse my expression, but that's what it is. That's what it is. You don't see them put no work out in the world at all. Everything is from the living room. So it's like, you know, there's no, you know what I'm saying? They're not branching out with, and I don't mean that in the sense of, you know, separating. I'm just saying, when you look at a tree, you know, a tree doesn't have one branch. it has many branches, you know, and if you're just stuck on, all the leaves fell off of this tree, and, you know, this branch, and then this branch has more fruit than that branch, like, it's all there. It's going through a process of creation. So you look at all of these different branches as a part of a tree, you know, that has roots, and the root is nationality. And my thing is, you know, there's something in law called fruit of the poisonous tree. So when they planted those seeds of inactiveness, you know, and that's really where, like Kudjo mentioned earlier, they started losing quote unquote membership, you know, because there's quote unquote grand sheiks who, you know, from 10 years ago, they was hard body on the right to travel. Now they're telling you the same thing, come up under the state jurisdiction and all of these things. So I'm like, you know, hold on. There's a big turnaround as far as the agenda. And I think it's more so based off of the fact that, you know, the national, international tension has risen. And everybody's not going to be able to stand that type of pressure in real politics in real time. So what do? Oh, let me prove to master I'm not like those free Moors. You feel me? I'm a good nigger, and excuse me, but it's a fact. And this is another thing. You know, when they talk about, I was speaking about this with Brother Supreme, when they speak about, the 1099 form or whatever, you know, that was filed in Cook County, they're like, that's where we got our authority. You know, that's the authority of the temple and all of this. I'm like, that's crazy. It's not the number in the form that it was, because in that, it's telling you that the authority of the Moorish Science Temple of America is, or Moorish Holy Temple of Science, is derived from the Great Quran of Muhammad. And that's a law book. And in there, it talks about, you know, the niggardly and enjoying the niggardliness on other people. So I'm like, well, if that's where you got your authority from, right, you're out here slandering, which even in the Circle 7 Holy Quran, it tells you that's the lower self, right? So you can see that aspect when they talk about, I follow the words of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You know, anybody could be a parrot, you know what I mean? And it's another thing to understand the lesson, you know, because when you're slandering and you're in your lower self, you're clearly showing you're not following the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali by any means. When you're falsely accusing, you know, people of certain things that you know, is just beyond me. Is definitely, they try to denounce and say, I'm not an agent, they're y'all agents. And you know it. Like, come on. Because, you know, anytime you falsely accusing people who was teaching about your rights, that it's their fault, that their rights getting violated, and there's millions, hundreds of millions of people who are being abused by the same system, I think that, you know, what they call it, the majority of people are getting abused the same way by this particular system of that you're talking about. So when I say that, because I don't like to just say the system, there's multiple systems, but you know, there's many people who are being violated. Their rights are being violated. It's not just limited to one situation. So when I look at the time frame of, you know, we could go from 2013, 14 to now, you know, all of the cold-blooded murders on camera. You know what I'm saying? You're going to say that it's some Moor's fault that all of this is going on? Like, it's not a war? Because people be like, yeah, it's a war coming and all of this. I'm like, y'all don't realize that already is going on? Like, does it take, do they really have to drop a nuclear for you to really believe that the war started? Like, you don't understand that? And my position is like, you know, we know constitutionally they don't have the power to wage war, but look at what they're doing to people. You got pilgrims who are sending people who are born here right now, you know, alleged alleged USA citizens that was born here, or came when they was 2 and got citizenship, they're sending them back. They're revoking citizenship and sending them back to different places. So the deportation, and that's the thing about we Moors, is like we don't get deported because we're home. But like the Mexican family is being sent back across borders. You know, they're running down on 7-Elevens and raiding 7-Elevens to deport people and all of this with no authority. But you're not going to mention this aspect of U.S. citizenship. It's not a birthright, because you're being a quote-unquote, or acting as if you're a member of a corporation who has authority in business that, in that aspect, or really don't have authority in business, or let me say, doesn't have the authority over production and exchange. More so those who consent to do business with them, they have stipulations for that. So my thing is like the falsehood of the imaginary citizenship, and like we pointed out before, you look through the Moorish literature. Everywhere I see the Prophet Noble Drew Ali talking about quote unquote citizenship, it's always American citizenship. It's never United States citizenship. He blatantly denounced United States citizenship in the divine warning to the nations, or the concept of the 14th Amendment, which will also include those Moors who have been taking advantage and naturalizing people, opposed to nationalizing them and having them understanding, the aspects of international law. Because, anytime you could say like, that, or assume that these people have the authority and you should raise your children to be a part of that, you could clearly see where the agenda is at. There's Stevens out there, So that's my position. Like, if they're going to say, oh, well, Prophet Noble Drew Ali didn't mention the treaty, for those who study what he did mention, there's a lot we could say he didn't mention, for sure. You know what I mean? For sure there's a lot that he spoke about but didn't mention it in totality, because it's a lot, So if you didn't follow the clue, hey, enforce the Constitution, then you read the Constitution. It's talking about all treaties, contracts entered into before the and engagements entered into before the adoption of the Constitution, right? And it goes on to speak about how they're still valid, right? So he didn't sit there and mention all of the treaties that, were still binding. He just pointed you to the fact that, look, do your research, because those are protected in law. He didn't say, everything that happened as far as Fort Monroe, people being declared contraband and all of this. He didn't mention that. But if you study, like he said, you would definitely come across it. So, like I said, man, a lot of their position is just frivolous. It's frivolous. And check their videos. They don't get any real recognition unless, they're slandering you or Taj or somebody. Like, they don't get no recognition. They have no work. They haven't put in work, you know what I'm saying, for the people. Like, and I'm not knocking, anybody could turn on their cell phone today and do a live stream and Google streams and all of this. These are beautiful, but if you are, be responsible. Like, like literally, like be for real with the truth. Big acknowledgement to you, Kudjo, for the live streams that you do. They're very honorable. But again, like we know, there's some dirty Moors who just use their platform for yellow journalism, because that's what colored people do. So like I said, when it speaks about in the Quran that the authority is derived, on the back of the 101s, and it's talking about the authority being derived from the great Quran of Muhammad. And in there, it's talking about enjoining niggardliness on other people, That's basically what they're doing. So they're not following the lessons or have internalized the lessons of Noble Drew Ali, because if that was the case, they wouldn't be slandering. And, you know, it's the old concept of throwing rocks and hiding your hands, because they be like, oh, I never called Taj out of his name. I never called RV Bey out. I never called nobody out their name. That whole theme is throwing rocks and hiding your hands, because when you come out and say somebody is scamming and the treaty is a scam and you're lying, you're calling somebody out of their appellation, you know. Just because you didn't use a word such as, you know, nigger or asshole or anything of that nature doesn't mean you're not slandering or you're not calling people out of their name, quote unquote, even though we know we don't have names as appellations. But that's my whole thing is like, don't try to justify that you're not lying. You know what I mean? I mean that, like, the lie. Like, the lie is I'm not calling them out of their name. I'm not calling them anything they're not. I'm challenging the information, but that's not what you're doing. You're intentionally slandering. So, you know, that's the proof of lower self. If you want to analyze Noble Drew Ali Lessons, Chapter 3 talks about the lower self, you know, and that being what breeds hatred, lewdness, murders, and everything that harms. So when people are dealing in their lower self and they conjure up that energy, remind you it's a source from somebody being on a lower self frequency. And then if you got to tap into that energy to match them, these are the things that start happening. You feel me? So you like, yo, you know, slander is slander. That's lower self activity. Do we got to go there? Because we could tell the truth. Like, these people's grand sheiks come from a background of I don't want to even say playing with little boys, violating little boys or young men, however you want to look at that. And they mad at Taj because their grand sheiks violated little boys. Like I said, Noble Drew Ali didn't teach that science. You talk about what science Noble Drew Ali left or what more science. That's not more science. That's Catholic science. That's what they do. You know what I mean? And that's not, you know, what he left. I don't see any of that in the holy and divine instructions left by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I don't see pedophilia
in that.
All
right, listen. I wanted to bring up something. I just didn't want to lose the thought that you said, if you don't mind. It's a great acknowledgement about, and I hadn't thought about this, about the authority. When it says that the authority comes from the Holy Quran of Mecca, so why do you think it comes from a 1099 form out of any corporate venue? And the other thing I wanted to put on the question, this is based on what you were saying, I just didn't want to lose it, because, you know, you're saying a lot of stuff, and I wanted to, this is my first time thinking about this, and I wanted to ask Sister Anaid what she thought of this as well, specifically. When you mentioned about them coming down on some of the brethren, Hindustanians, in the different, like, 7-Elevens and stuff, do you think that it's because they themselves came over here? Because a lot of people come over here to be, quote unquote, what we're going to call the new niggers. Do you think it's because they come, even though they may have their culture to some degree, that they come and become U.S.A. citizens? Because that's the only way that they could do that. That's what I'm thinking. When they come over, a lot of these funds, they come over to be, quote unquote, what they call Americanized, or what we call American, or what some call Americanized, although we know that's not the true American way. Because these money Europeans that are with the U.S.A., you know, they are American citizens, but not American nationals at all whatsoever. And that distinction must be made. So, not more American nationals, not nationals of American anything. If they're citizens, then they're citizens because they're members of, or whatever like that. Now, so do you think that they come over here, some foreigners, quote unquote foreigners, come over here, and they've also lost their nationality by giving it up and becoming naturalized here? Is that what would be happening, where they could go and run down and take them back? Because true nationals already know. They know the Constitution here. They don't come here think the Constitution being the law of the land here in this land, this American land, Moroccan American land. They already know the Constitution. They don't use their nationality to be here or whatever like that. So do you think that these people have naturalized, and became citizens of the U.SIA, and that's why they can deport them? That's the question on the table.
Well, I haven't really heard of them porting. I haven't seen that where I am. I don't know if that's going on, but I haven't seen that where I am, and there's a huge community where I am. They don't really let go of their culture and customs, because when their religion is a part of their custom, culture, their nationality. They don't call themselves Indians.
They don't call themselves Indians.
They don't call themselves Indians. They call themselves either Hindustani or Sikhs, or they identify with their what they would call their village.
Okay.
They don't call themselves Indians. So when Trump was talking about he's going to be sending these Indians back to India, he wasn't talking about the Indian, what they call the Indians of the what is it? Is it the East? Are we the East or the West? He wasn't talking about the Indians, what the Indians that they bring, the Hindustanis that they bring Indians. He was talking about the Moors over here, who's calling themselves Indians. Because the Moors of Hindustan, they don't call themselves Indians. I talked with quite a few of them. They don't call themselves Indians. So he ain't talking about them. Now, I don't know, and like I said, I communicate with quite a few of them because that's the grocery stores that I go to, and that's the people that I talk with, and we build sometimes we build together. So I don't. Some of them do come over and try to. Yeah. Some of them, depending on where they're going, because a lot of them, they come over here, they get the information, and they go back to what they call India, but they get the education. They are very scholarly people, the males and the females. So if they're moving in those engineer circles, because they're engineers and doctors, they're up in the sciences all the time. So they might adopt the certain dress to a certain degree, but not. They don't give up, because when I worked in the hospital, they was wearing their turbans and their cultural guards. So all of them do not they don't give it up entirely, and it depends on where they are in the what they're trying to attain, because they're very different from us. They don't do nothing except through cosmology, but
they were here before too. They were here before the modern Europeans came.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway,
and they know.
So that's who
they know.
In the Constitution. Yeah.
I've had conversations with a few of them, and they know who we are. They just don't. They just don't converse with you unless you have the appearance of a Moor. If you don't look like a Moor in terms of your dress, they ain't saying nothing to you. because they don't know. They don't know. They don't know what side you're on, so they don't say nothing.
Well, Miz is mentioning about them coming deporting. We need to look into that, Miz, and check out those sources.
Well, see, because Trump said that all those people who's calling themselves Indian, that he's going to be sending them back to India. But I can tell you the people from the land they call India, they don't call themselves Indian.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So they talking about, okay.
So he's talking about the Moors over here who's always trying to brand themselves, talking about they Indians. Well, if you Indian, then you need to go to India. He really was telling you, Moors, be yourself. So if you ain't going to be yourself, they'll send you behind right back to where you think you come from.
Yeah, but check out this one too, because with them raiding 7-Elevens, with the whole, I don't know if it's the Dreamer or the Docket thing, with like that. That's the initiation of deporting people with what they call ICE police, which is immigration or something. I forgot what the acronym stands for. Like, it was in the news. You could pull it up online. They started raiding 7-Elevens to check, like, the people that was working there as far as their citizenship status and all of that. Like, they did that just a couple weeks ago. Literally just a couple weeks ago, that's what they did. And I found it interesting because whether those were Asiatics from Hindustan or anywhere else in Asia, like, they're still Moors. And the fact that they chose to pick on a 7-Eleven out of all stores, like, think about that. The history of the Moors. Hold up. The history of Moors about 7-Eleven, right? So for them to take a corporate raid like that on the 7-Eleven and the intention was to see about the status of these Asiatics, whether they be from across the great Pacific or whatever, like, was a signal. It was a signal. So, and what they're doing to the Mexican families, because look, you got our Mexican brethren and sisters who was here since they were 2 years old, and they're sending them back. They're sending them to other parts of North America that they're calling Mexico today. Like, that literally is happening in real time right now. Like, it's going on. So, yeah.
Well, that's been going on. That's been going on, and they kind of, you don't hear about it because I forget who was in office. I think it might have been around the time when Obama was in office, and I want to say somewhere over near Arizona, those people was talking about how they was going to come up with their own immigration policy, and the United States Union Corporation slammed them. And so then the people that they are branding Mexicans, they all of them in unison as one body, did not go to work for one day, and you ain't never hear nothing about that no more.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I'm not saying that they're not like, see, everybody has to declare their nationality because Mexico is not a nationality. Mexico is a corporation. It's about your nationality. It's about your bloodline. So everybody has to declare their nationality. And if you ain't clear about your nationality, ain't nobody going to pull your coattail. You just going to get picked up and taken somewhere. Because if you don't get that your nationality comes from your bloodline and the bloodline comes from mother, and if you're not clear about that, then you're going to get picked up. Because you have to declare your nationality, and you've got to be clear about what that is and where it comes from. Now, So the same thing that's happening for the people that comes from near the Mexico Corporation is the same thing that's happening to the Aboriginal indigenous people of what they call North America. It's the same thing. Now, when it comes to some, now see, I know that the only people that can be rolling up on anybody talking about, show me your papers, like this is some KGB, Russia business, is police. And the police do not have the authority to do this. Somebody needs to find out what policy they're working off of, and I can tell you 100% of the time, that policy is reserved for corporate activity, not people functioning in their private capacity. Nobody has the right to tell you where you can go. That's not just in the Moroccan American Constitution. That's in the rights of indigenous people. That's in the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. It says that the people have a right to leave their home and return without impediment. And it's also in the Constitution, and it is in the Articles of Confederation, where it says that they cannot prohibit ingress and regress. That's your right to travel. So all of these things is going on for one reason and one reason only. The vast majority of people, whether you're calling them, Moors that are asleep, whether you're calling them the Hindustanis, which they branded Indians, whether you're calling them Moors, which they branded Mexicans, all of them do not have the appropriate information to present a civil suit nationally and then take it into the international community, which can't do none of that until you are first clear on your nationality, your birthright, your bloodline. And that's what got to happen. And we are right now in forced to make change. You're either going to get forced to make change or you're going to get forced out. You can't sit on your thumbs no more. That's it. Right. That's all there is. Look at this is how many cycles of time has gone by, and people are still asleep. This is a new era. All of that, I'll do it tomorrow is done. Ain't no tomorrow. It's either now or never.
Or never. I got a question there from what you said. So clearly, when you said they are the police, so even if they call themselves ICE or whatever alphabet they want to put on that agency, they are still police. Then you go to what the police are for, and it clearly tells you that they're there to protect corporations, not the people. So that means that we have to realize that just because they call themselves ICE, BCE, don't matter what they call themselves, they are still police.
That's right. And they're contractors, and they are administering some policy, and if it's written by a corporation, that's for corporate activity only. That's it. And if people don't understand the difference between corporation and people who are operating in a non-commercial capacity, then that's on them.
A lot of our people are operating and don't know the difference between the two and are operating it and teaching other people in commerce and teaching other people the same.
And there is no excuse for that. There is no excuse for that. In this age, in this electrifying age of information, there is no excuse for that.
That's right. It is what it is.
With regard to this Moorish Science Temple of America and, it's siding with the U.S. or, the Noble Drew Ali separated from that. When we go back to the whole thing about the back of the 101s and 1099 form, like it was said, people get caught up in the form. People get caught up in the cause, not the effect. People get lost in the cause.
Before you continue, let me just clarify, because I know you're saying 1099. A lot of people who are all up in these various different 14th Amendment processes, they think when you say 1099 that you're talking about the IRS form 1099. It's not. It's Cook County form that happens to be a 1099. Has nothing to do with the Internal Revenue Service. It's the Cook County's internal form numbering system. I just want to clarify that.
Right. So, Noble Drew Ali told the Moors about constant constitutional enforcement. That was a theme in his writings, right? Now, when we look at 1920 Chicago, you're talking about the same situation with certain people who feel that, you know, the government, they shouldn't be having certain powers over the people because the people are the ones who create the state and whatever. So under home rule in constitutional law, the right of the government is to be running by itself. Right? During that time, if you say government, now it's all about, again, who has the superior claim? Some Europeans who are foreigners or Asiatic? More. And he goes now, files this form number 1099 in Cook County, but makes reference to Herds Revised Statute, Chapter 32, Section 36. And then you go to Herds Revised Statute, Chapter 32, Section 36. The chairman or secretary of such meeting shall, as soon as may be after such meeting, make and file in the office of the recorder in the county in which such congregation, church, or society is organized, which shall be recorded by such order by an affidavit substantially in the following form. And then it lays out the affidavit, the same affidavit that Noble Drew Ali filed in Cook County. Such congregation, church, or society may change its name or make other amendment to its original affidavit of incorporation by passing a resolution of such amendment in accordance with the rules and usages of the congregation, church, or society, and filing an affidavit to that effect in the office of recorder in the county in which such congregation or church or society is located. Now, you see, remember, it's home rule that's going on right now in Chicago. Who's going to make a claim? Who wants to make a claim? You better make it now, because when the doors close, you have no claim. So Noble Drew Ali said, I'm going to file the affidavit so that we can change the name. He didn't say change the customs or change any of the teachings or stop being active and be passive, start celebrating Noble Drew Ali or whatever like that. All they did was change the name. That's all. The work of taking this to the hedges and the highways was supposed to continue by these people calling themselves Moorish Temple of America. If they're going to say, look at 1099 and all that type of stuff and say, use that as a reference. And then keep in mind as well that these same sellouts, even though they can say home rule, what they do is they say home office. Now, when they say home office, what are they talking about? They're talking about the Department of State. Remember, this is 866, the White Man's Dictionary, Black's Law Dictionary. The Department of State through which the English sovereign administers most of the internal affairs of the kingdom, especially the police, and communicates with the judicial functionaries. Now, is your judicial proclamation through the English sovereign, or is it through you declaring that you're not Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Remember, they're always going to be showing you some type of things that the European created to be Moors, to try to make you be Moors.
Yep.
Don't fall for it. Noble Drew Ali even said self-government by filing this 1099 form. He was talking about self-government to these Moors who took this as some religious whatever. And then he says, Heard's Revised Statute, Chapter 32, Section 36, and then other Moors are going to take the whole Heard's Revised Statute and say that applies to Moors. But Noble Drew Ali didn't reference all that other stuff. He made one reference, Chapter 32, Section 36. That's it in Heard's Revised Statute. Nothing else. Nothing else applies.
And that was just in case to change the name to make it put them on notice that you've done so. That's it.
That's it.
Oh boy, that's some study boards. You bringing it out, and that's why they were saying, the prophet, he created a municipality, which then is a Roman venue. It's just disgusting. It's because they haven't studied. They don't know law. They're not enforcing constitutional principles whatsoever.
And let's think about it like this. Let's just say Noble Drew Ali did found a municipal corporation. The people who chose to follow that, wouldn't that mean that those were the people he was trying to get out? And they played themselves. They locked themselves out of it, and everybody who followed them, thinking that this is about processes. Noble Drew Ali was brilliant. Remember, he knew that Moors had poison in his food and pushed the food away.
I got you. So if they took that bait, then they don't need to be in it anyway. Is what you say?
They thought they played him when they played their self, because he's the prophet.
Exactly.
Allah is working through him. What do you think you're playing with?
Mm-hmm.
That's why all these Moors, you realize that the Heard's Revised Statute Moors you don't hear them talking no more. How come they're not talking anymore?
Why?
All of them got caught up in some IRS BS.
That's right.
All of them got caught up in some IRS BS. Why? Because they want to try to play like they know more than the prophet. When they frickin' forgot that that's a thought of Allah. Stupid. Dummy. And then people following them. You're going against Allah? You go right ahead. I'm going to stick with what Noble Drew Ali brought, deal with the principles, make sure I'm revolving around Moors who are like mine, and I shall be straight. Everybody else, they're going to get their guillotine or mayor of steel or whatever it is that they're going to get for being incompetent.
Wow, because the cream of the crop got to come to the top. And if you don't know this stuff now, then I guess you tap and it's like, you followed that? Okay. All right. You know who you are and or not. Because, and you said earlier, something to the effect of, I don't know how you said it, Anaid, that, this is the time. This is the time now, that's it. You don't know. It doesn't mean that you can't know. Because inside you already do know. It's just that, and you're saying, Kudjo, people want to follow all of this stuff instead of follow the dictates of their own soul. Because that's all you're going to end up being able to do in the end anyway. And when you are confronted with that force to make change situation, you'll see right then and there. That's where you're at, right there. It's going to have to either roll off of you or not. You're not going to be able to call on nobody. You're going to have it in your God, please. And just send it forth and let it be guided by the light of truth, that path. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. So, wow, Kudjo, that's interesting.
That's why he said that you're a body politic.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's not supposed to be places that don't have temples right now. In this time, with climate how it is, and everybody has a Buddhist whatever, everybody has a Hindu whatever, everybody has a synagogue, everybody has a church, and Moors are just looking around.
But let me ask you this, Kudjo. If we're supposed to have the temple, what's the problem that all Moors cannot be a part to the temple? Why are they selected? So why are they still being like, oh no, I mean, what is going on then? I mean, I hear what you're saying, but so what you're saying is the problem is those who are holding down those temples in some respect simply have not studied enough to be able to take the place amongst the affairs of man at this time.
Right, they're taking the place amongst the grand sheiks and the grand governors and the supreme whatever, and only them are rubbing shoulder to shoulder, and the only way they know the people is if they're part of their temple or if they come off the stage and go walk through those people. Because it's a poppy show. They're not doing government. They're not doing what they're supposed to do, what the orders were. Like if Nobuju Ali is saying that, he's clothed in purple and he's coming down with the scepter and all that type of stuff, doesn't that mean that he's a sovereign? One more jurisdiction we need than him coming down in the purple. That's not just in what Nobuju Ali said. All the cultures. The guy with the purple is the one.
And
that's the one.
Since you're saying that, you talking chapter 29, magistrate and subject, and you're relating it to the fact that if you're grand chief, you're the one. You're supposed to be the one, the chief. That is it. You're the law. Well, we already know the chief the law, but even with that, it tells you in the first stanza. It says, "O thou, the favorite of heaven, whom the sons of men, who are your equals," all right? Because that's first thing, they're not equal. They want to be, like you say, play the game, the secret game, and the membership game. Have agreed. The equals have agreed. That's your members have agreed to raise you to a sovereign power and set you as a ruler over themselves. However, you must consider the ends and the importance of their trust to you far more than the dignity and height of your station or of the title. So my question is this. With that being said, I just wanted to bring that out to the people. That's chapter 29 you're talking about, which also that first stanza right there also shows you an election process to choose them. Now, the other thing is, with what you're saying, I'm going to put this on the table when I hear you want to make a comment too, Miss. If the temples were supposed to be the places for the people, like you said, the Hindustans got, Jews have this, so-called Jews have their synagogue, everybody's got their thing. So that leaves the Moor who can't be a part of the temple only because the temple is infiltrated and doesn't know jack about law, so therefore can't effectuate what we're talking about for the people. But that leaves the people standing alone, basically, and that's why he said if you're only one, be the only one. So that leaves them alone, and that leaves them in an autonomous status, because you're not going to turn the temples around in a day because of time of year.
And again, for those people who are on the frequency, this is why. You know what I mean? We said we're opening our temple doors to everybody, because if our Arabians and Turks and Chinese and whoever were part of Moorish Science Temple, then who are we to not give everybody safe passage? Like, we're the Moors.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. No, they're not.
We're
They're
the Moors.
United Stadiums.
Right?
I hear you.
You know what I mean? And doing it under Moorish Science Temple, like it's supposed to be done. Like people get so caught up in the whole religious corporation, you know, and lose the fact that this was self-government. That's Aboriginal and Indigenous culture, if you're talking about that in America. Mm-hmm. Like if you go to Africa, if you go to the continent of Africa, and you go to talk some tribe or whatever in the bushes somewhere, nobody ever been to, they got government going on there. That has nothing to do with some Europeans.
Facts, bro. The Bushmen got government going on. Damn.
So what you saying? What's wrong with self-government? Why do you have to be under some European? And I bet you those people have no problem in their culture. You know what I mean? Traders, they get thrown in that hole with the big black thing in it that just sucks things up. Right? Society's running properly, matriarch rules. You know what I mean? Peace and harmony in the civilization. No wars, no whatever like that. They're just one with nature, and everything is just amazing and beautiful. But then Negroes don't want that. Prophet came and told them how to get that. They still don't want that. They want to play around. They want to be part of you know, growing stuff in the desert. Yeah, we're gonna have all these seeds, but let's go live in the desert, and we'll survive there.
All right. Wow.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that even with you reading from chapter 29, and it was talking about thy equals, that means that they were sovereign too.
Thank you. Thy equals. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That goes to those temples that naturalize people. Hold on now. If you're going to naturalize anybody, you yourself have to be sovereign. So if you're sovereign, why are you considering the people that are members that are coming in as not being sovereign? I don't get it. I mean, I don't get it. Why would you naturalize them as if they're in a foreign country? Huh?
That's the sellout. That's the sellout standing in your face.
In your face.
That's you came in the room and you caught him with his pants down, and your girl's right there.
Mm-hmm. And then they just
tied up to the.
Listen, we brought that out, Kudjo, anyway, but yeah.
That's all they have left.
And you're going to invite us to this party. Yeah. They invited us to tell us, yo, let's get down or something. Huh?
Imagine that the people themselves that are going to these buildings to go get whatever process or whatever from whoever for how much amount of money, they are sovereign going in there. And then they're doing some process that's canceling out their sovereignty.
Yes. Oh,
and they still getting the sovereignty by joining the thing or filling out that paper or, oh, I did the process, so now I'm sovereign. No, you just did the process and gave it up.
Hello. Tell it. Yes, indeed.
And again, you know, because you're supposed to know the laws that govern contracts, now you're bound because majority of these people play, oh yeah, I have a contract, so I'm going to be a Moor, and then I'm going to be going to contract as a Moor. Okay, well, now you're really going to be held liable if they really want to go at you.
Yep.
Because why would you go as a Moor if you have a corporation right there that you could send the corporate, you could sick the corporation so they can let the corporation go through the landmine, the minefield. You're a Moor, you're gonna float through the minefield. How about just send the corporation through the minefield? Because this is a time of war or whatever. This is a time of war, and you know there's a minefield, and you're talking about tiptoe, and let's see if we can get through when you have the dummy right there that you could send. Crazy.
Wow. That's wow. I'm sorry, Eddie. I think you were getting ready to say something, and we were on it with you. We were in the midst.
Yeah, the MIST.
Thought I heard her. Maybe I didn't.
She's on mute.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, I thought I heard your voice that you wanted to make a comment while we were going.
Oh, no. You didn't know. I wasn't trying to make a comment.
Oh, I thought you was getting ready to go into we need to answer the lines. I thought I heard you.
But I was going to do that. I know.
I know you were.
All right. So if you have a comment, question, or a concern, press 1 on your telephone dial, and we will take the callers in the order that we receive them. And let's see, we got caller 404-493. You've been holding on for some time. You're live on the air.
Islam.
This is Brother Ronald Williams Bey at Morocco, Georgia, at the Georgia Republic Territory. All praise be to Allah and His Holy Prophet, Noble Jew Ali. I would like to state that I appreciate everything you all are doing, and I'm continuing to study. And the whole conversation this evening has been right and exact. It only gave me confirmation of what has been going through my mind concerning everything that we've been hearing and misinformation. And everything is on point, and I appreciate things you all do. And just keep up the good work, and peace and blessings to the family, all active Moors, and I yield the floor.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Peace, Noble.
Islam.
Please more.
Yeah. Boy, that's encouragement, because, look, we've been doing this thing for a minute. Many more have been doing this thing for a minute, and then to come to this and then realize, wait a minute, you know, what is really going on? It's not this whole thing. But we do know, we're not surprised. So, thanks for the encouragement. Are you there? Are you there?
Oh, sorry, caller 228-627. You're live on the air.
Islam. This is Wilton Turk Bay. I enjoyed the conversation all night. Everything is done on point. I just have a question. She was mentioning some books at the beginning of the show. I would like to get the name of those books so I could order them.
Are you talking about the Prophet's Workbook that Kudjo was mentioning earlier?
Yeah, you said something about the books of Noble Drew Ali.
Kudjo, you want to repeat that? I mean, I know what they are. You're saying he only did 4 books.
Yeah, Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Moorish literature, 101 questionnaire, and Moorish guide newspaper.
Moorish Japanese?
Moorish guide. Moorish guide newspaper. And then there's also oral statements and prophecies of Noble Drew Ali.
What about the secret teachings of the Brotherhood of the?
Oh yeah, and the Secret Brotherhood, the quote unquote red book.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the red book? What you say the name of the red book was?
What is it?
Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East.
Brotherhood of the East. That is referred to as the Red Book when you're in the temple.
Oh yeah, and that's also why they tried to limit it to the adept chamber, because the adept chamber was really a silent brotherhood. So they had the Silent Brotherhood book as the Silent Brotherhood of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Mm-hmm.
So when you become an adept, then you get the Silent Brotherhood book. But now that you know the Silent Brotherhood book is out in the public, now, they're caught. Your wife taped to the bed, and they're caught with their pants down. So these people are dirty.
Okay.
These people are dirty. They're really dirty. There's a lot more.
All right. So do y'all have any of these books there that are at your publication?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It's on our Bey Publications, and you would go down to products by PayPal, and then it's 10 categories. And the category that you'll find them in is called Moorish Study Tools. That's the category. I think it's category 8. So you'll see all the categories. Yeah, Moorish Study Tools. Under the Moorish Study Tools, you'll find those books. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
And again, remember that they're going to tell you, don't go to Ivy Bey Publications, because that's not really the book that Noble Drawley brought. It has the orange cover with Noble Drawley on the front, and then when you flip the back, there's a circle 7 on the top left-hand corner underneath the M behind the O of the Moorish, but not the O of Moor, just the O of the Moorish, and then you're going to know that you have the real version. Don't listen to these people.
Don't let that.
All right. Thank you. And, all right.
All right. Thank you for your call. All righty. Caller 682360. You're live on the air.
Islam. This is Eric Amir Bay, calling it Texas Corporation, Northwest Connection. Just want to say I appreciate everything y'all doing. Keep it going. And, we're going to keep it going. I had a few questions about the proclamation papers. The 7 locations. I was trying to study on the locations and see where I'm going to be sending them out. And they said we had to address to a person. I was trying to figure out on the Homeland Security, is it the secretary, or who do we address that to on the Homeland Security?
You can always address to a secretary of any association. They're the ones who takes in all the information for that association, has to handle all the records and everything like that. That's always one. That's always good to do. Do you have any other suggestions on that?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the Supreme Court. I thought I heard y'all say back on one of the other videos that the Supreme Court was in Philly, or was it in Washington?
No. Supreme Court's not in Philly. That we were just talking about how Philadelphia Court was that particular court was founded, established with an arraignment prior to Senator. But I think I don't know what's going on at that particular place right now. But then again, if people don't write their writ in a intelligible manner with proper words, they'll call your stuff frivolous. And it depends on whether you're even within that building to the right place, because, you know, they have buildings and they rent other places. They'll rent, like, hearing rooms and other buildings, and you don't know where you are. You know what I'm saying? Or they'll have a building that'll say federal, but it's not. And that brings us to another thing that I would like to say, is that they'll have people that'll give you a business card saying they're federal this or federal that, and they're none of that. They're just using it in name only. So that's what we were saying about that. So, all right.
Oh, okay. So we do send it to the one in Washington?
That is the Department of Heads of State, not the individual state. Like, for instance, the Secretary of Department of State is not the same as the Secretary of the state individually. That's where they're over all the 52 secretaries, all the 52 states. So it's the Department of State Secretary, not the Secretary of that state, that individual state. So notice to the principal is notice to the agent. And those are all agents and subsidiaries. And we were just talking about this today, right, Anaid, how people be sending, thanks for bringing this up, people will be sending and making this new thing. There's this new thing called adult name change. Sister Anaid, I didn't tell you, but I got about, it's great thing. I got about 2 of them today, or 3 of them today, where they're talking about, hey, I've done my adult name change. It costs $305, and it includes an ad in the paper. And I'm like, what's that? I'm waiting for them to get back to me and tell me exactly what that is, because it seems to be a court order thing. See, what happens, Moorsh? Somebody's scraping. What happens, Moorsh, it's in my ear because I have on my Bluetooth. So whoever's scraping papers, can you please stop doing that, because it's going right to my ear. So I'm using my Bluetooth. Okay, what's happening is today there are other corporations that are taking absolute advantage of this heightened, almost frenzied, forced to make changes activity that is going on right now, not just with Moors, but with modern Europeans who also are helping and who realize that they've got to also, be free from corporate profit. All right? So with that being said, other colluding corporations will say, what's going on now? Especially they want to know what Moors are doing, because we set the stage for all activities and possibilities and potential of making finances for anybody that is here. It is all based on us. You may think that you the lowest on the total pole and you don't matter. You do matter. You make the whole thing run. You are the resources, for real. You are your own economic resources. You're just not realizing it. So there's companies that will make up ideas and sell them to you, offer them to you, and you will receive them, as was mentioned earlier. Why do we do that? We look for permission because I know why. We've been trained and brainwashed. So nowadays, there's this thing that I'm waiting to find out what corporation, because that's what it is, it's not government, in that a governing authority, what group or section of people forming a corporation is putting out there an adult name change for $305. No. And inclusive with that is an ad in the paper making your name change, or adult name change is what it's called. Why do you think you need that? When your judicial notice, just like this brother's asking questions about right now, information is a lawful notice sent to the principal, kept relatively private to some degree, but why? So therefore, why do you need to do this? And if you do, if it does include an ad in the paper, the local paper, what makes you think you need to do that? Need to do that, especially now at this point where we are. They all simply take advantage. So $305, it's adult name change. As soon as I find out exactly what that is, now I'll tell you what it sounds like. It sounds like a lot of European stuff and their processes that they were doing when they were trying to be the sovereign here without nationality. They realized they're not, and they could never be the Aboriginal and indigenous American nationals. They can be American citizens and rights. So they threw that away. That's what it sounds like to me. But it could be some new things coming down the line for someone to make finance off of war who don't know what the heavens they're doing. That's all I wanted to add. I meant to mention that, so you gave me reason to bring that up, brother. Islam.
Hi, Islam. I had to mute the caller because it was his phone that was doing the scratching. 68360, you're back.
Oh, sorry. I think that was my Bluetooth or whatnot. But yeah, it's easy to. I hope people don't get caught up in those processes. I think that's it for me. I appreciate everything y'all doing. My highest honors to all y'all. Y'all keep it going. I yield the floor.
All righty, peace and love.
Peace
All right, if you have a question, comment, or a concern, press 1 on your telephone dial, and we will take the caller in the orders that we receive them. If you have already asked your question, press 1 so that you can be taken out, right? If you have a question, comment, a concern, press 1 on your telephone dial. And if you have already asked your question, press 1 so you can come out of the queue. All right, looks like we got one last caller. Go ahead.
Oh. No, I was going to ask a question, but I'd rather give the floor to the caller to ask their question. Like, because I wanted to open the dialogue. Nobody was going to ask one.
Okay. We got one last caller. Yeah, all right, we'll do that. Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, we got one last call. One last. Hold on, caller. Uh, 972839. You're live on the air.
Yes, fam. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Brother. Yeah.
It's long, family. It's long. Once again, y'all still there? I just heard something. Y'all still there?
Yeah, bro.
It's long, because I don't know what it is. I'm studying law, I'm learning, and they got to give it up. So we the national people of this land, and guess what? Moors are waking up. There ain't no more being destroyed by the lack of knowledge, because the knowledge is out here, and those who Allah has bestowed upon them the teaching of El Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, Noble Jew Ali, has been passed down. It's over. First, I'd like to give all praise to Allah, our Creator, our Father in the universe, giving thanks for our illustrious prophet, Noble Jew Ali. And I'm thanking always for the teacher that he had put in place, those who have yearned and learned and are going forth in this life, to teaching those that they may be able to help themselves further to uplift themselves. and we like a chain. It's all joined together, and we all have our hands out with our boys of studying and understanding that we can help and be an aid to uplift and follow your man. Shout out to Anaid, to you, Rahsmariah, to me. What's up, man? The Kudjo. Islam. And I understand. Look. Hey, all right, what's up, cool? My wife, you know what I'm saying? She been down for a while now. I got in there. See, that's what's all about. And she got your blasted text message and Islam. I love you, my brother. All these Bey Publications, that's where I really got out into more sound some years ago. And I'm going to tell you this here. I hope you don't say copyright. Everything that y'all had on your site for 3 years, I done hand wrote it. Islam. And I got a 4th edition Black Law Dictionary, and any terminology that I still don't know because I don't know everything. I look it up, and it will break it down, and it would send me where to go to look up. And that's where our people are so very misleading, because they do not look up words. Just because you heard a word daily or someone has a commune sentence and bring that word up, so therefore you feel like you know the word. Now, knowing is through the study and analyzing and breaking down that word just as etymology. And you will not only know the meaning, the definition, but you will know where the word derives from. I'm just read this here, family. That'll go to all those haters and all those wannabes and those who trying to instruct themselves as I am it. Now, you know what I can say to that. It's going to be coming out of the Holy Quran and the Moorish Timber itself. And this will be right on time. The holy instruction from the prophet, inconsistency. Nature there is because Islam.
Yes, I know that. Yeah.
Nature is due to inconsistency, old man. Therefore, guard thyself at all the times against this. I hope they listen well, especially those we are talking about today. And in their heart, they may try to hide, but guess what? Their spirit will point them out. Thou art from a womb. Thou art from the womb of thy mother. Various and waving from thy loins of thy father, inherit thy instability. How then shall thou be firm? Question mark. Those who have gave thee a body furnish it with weakness, but he who gave thee a soul armed thee with resolution. Employ it, and thou art wise, be wise, and thou art happy. Let him who doeth well be well, how he boasted of it. For rarely it is of his own will. It is not the event of an impulse from without, born of uncertainty, forced by accident, depend on somewhat else. To thee and to accident is due the praise. Beware of irresolution in the intent of their actions. Beware of instability in their execution. So shall thou triumph over two great failings of thy nature. What reproach reason more than to act contrarieties? What can suppress the tendencies to deeds but firmness of mind? The inconstant feeling that he changes, but he knoweth not why. He feared that the escape from himself, he perceiveth not how. Be thou incapable of change in that which is right. A man will rely upon thee. Establish unto thyself principles of action, and see that thou ever act according to them. So shall the passions have no rule over thee. So shall thou constancy ensure unto thee the good thou possessest, and drive from thy door misfortune, anxiety, and disappointment shall be strangers to thy gate. Suspect not evil in anyone until thou see it. Love it.
You
when
know
thou
what? That's
see
a
it,
beautiful, you're at a beautiful place to not necessarily have to read all 33 stanzas
It's long.
of this. I think you've done enough for the people
It's
to
long.
realize Islam to
It's
that. We
long.
really appreciate that. Islam.
It's
Thank
long,
you, brother.
and I love y'all, and that particular scripture and those verses that I read, go to those. If you, as it's written, if you want to know who to start with, look in the mirror and start with yourself. Don't pick no one out. Look at yourself and see your own fault. Islam.
Islam, thank you, brother. All right.
Islam, all right. All right, we got another caller 313-491. You are on the air.
Islam family. This is Low Bay calling from the near the Houston, Texas corporation. I'm calling to first and foremost give honors and thanks to you all, everyone on the panel. Great show, great information. Appreciate it. I'm calling to give like a little testimony, I guess you could say, my experience of me standing on my square and being who I am, dealing with the Roman soldiers and their employees. I was just Monday. I've been dealing with these meetings in the hearing room regarding a alleged possession of marijuana. But to make a long story short, I've turned in my writs, sent in my writs. Although they mentioned to me that they didn't get them, but I doubled up myself, and I mentioned that I remember when Anaid mentioned that you shouldn't have to turn your paperwork into them in person, but unfortunately I had to do that because they kept saying that they weren't getting it, and I did lose a receipt. That was my fault.
That's a courtesy copy. Excuse me. You're saying at that time while you were in there, you had an additional copy, and that's called the courtesy copy. In case they say, well, we didn't receive them, then you had it right there. Okay,
yeah,
that's what you said.
Yeah, I had it right there, and what I did was I didn't know. I'm very, very green to this still, but what I thought to do was to give one to the clerk, turn one into the clerk before I even had to go up there, because I think that maybe when I go up there, they might just try to do what they want to do and not even take it. So, but I had three. So I had the one that I sent to them, and the one that I sent to them, the one that I had on me, and the other one that I was going to give to the clerk when I was there too. So, but to keep going is that when I would go there, I told them I didn't even just bring up the jurisdiction thing. I didn't know if I was wrong the first time I did when I went there the first time, and they just pretty much ignored me and he ignored me. He didn't adjudicate, but what he said was, I'm gonna reset it, because you don't have an attorney. And I told him that I'm not, I don't waive any counts, don't waive any of my rights, but I cannot have an attorney because of and I'm pro persona, and I'm here to handle my own affairs and have these alleged charges removed and expunged from the record, because I lost my you can say my job because of that, because I'm an educator, I'm a teacher or whatever, and they and somehow some way it got on the record. My teacher, my principal understood. The principal understood because, I took the marijuana from a student, and the principal was there when I took the marijuana from the student. Was there when I took the marijuana from the student, but when the school, they have like sweeps or whatever, and they have dogs. It's an alternative school, so they had dogs come in, and when the dogs came, it was actually the exact same day that when the dogs came in, they smelled the marijuana in the classroom, and it was maybe 2 hours later after I just confiscated it from the young man, but I didn't take him to the principal office to get him expelled. I pretty much chewed him out by myself for a whole hour, and then I talked to one of the counselors to help so he wouldn't get expelled. But make a long story short, they came in, they found that, and then it was kind of embarrassing because they handcuffed me in front of the students, and the students know that that's the far opposite of me. But my point is to go around to talk about the magistrate, whatever. But the first time I went there, he reset it, and the second time I went there, it was a lady, by the way. She reset it, and I had to stand on my square. She didn't know. She tried to act like she didn't know what anything about Moorish Americans or anything. Like, she said, well, who are you? What are you representing? And what is this? And I said, I'm Aboriginal indigenous to the land, ma'am. And she said, I know what indigenous is, but I don't know what Aboriginal is.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So, and then she went off to. I didn't know at this point in time. I was kind of a little nervous because I thought I got smart with her. Because she said that she knows what indigenous is, but she doesn't know what Aboriginal is. And I said, well, ma'am, are you serious? I said, are you serious? And she said, yes, because that means you don't know anything about the state of Texas Constitution, the Penal Code, and all this. And this was I just finished listening to the lecture about you guys with the Penal Code and all that type of stuff too, And I just mentioned to her, I said, ma'am, all that is fine for you, but all that is fine for you, but I'm like, what Constitution? I said the American Constitution, 1791, is the only thing that is the law of this land. I'm not familiar with anything else because it does not. It's foreign to me. And then she said, well, get out of my court. Get out of my courtroom. And I didn't know what was going to happen at that time. So she said, get out of my courtroom. And then she said, have a seat. And then the people, the workers or whatever came over with the reset form. And just this Monday, they sent me to a reintegration court because they kept throwing it back and forth. Now, I didn't know what reintegration court was, but I guess it was my learning experience. I'm supposed to know this, learn all this, In the meantime, between time, while I'm in this venue, I'm sitting there observing everything. I'm observing how they talk to you, this Monday, I had on my fez. And when I walked into the hearing room, they told me to take your hat off. I said, "Excuse me, sir, this is not a hat. This is my national headdress." And he said, "Take the hat off." I said, "Sir, I'm not taking my hat off because I'm not taking this off because it's not a hat. This is my national headdress." And he told me to get out of the courtroom. And then I got out of the courtroom, and then he came back to me and told me, "Say the judge is aware that you're here, so you can come back in." the judge and this is in front of everyone. And then when I walked back in, people were looking at me like, and I wasn't in there to cause attention. I'm just trying to get this expunged, you know what I mean? But people were looking at me, and they took care of everybody in the courtroom again. Everybody in that room, but me, until it's saving for last. And what they tried to do is, because the situation had me out on, I'm still researching this myself about this bond situation with the bail bondsman, because I know I know that's a illegal process, but I'm learning about that, you know. But I'm learning about it. So he thinks he has one up on me, but I know fraud has no statute of limitations. So I'm gonna figure it out and know what learn this. But what they tried to do, they tried to give me a PR bond, and just yesterday they tried to give me a PR bond, having me sign something, and I said I'm not signing anything, because I'm not giving anybody authorization over my life, you know, to sign any contract like that. And she said to do anything, and I noticed that it said $44 or $24 per something. I didn't even read it, because I knew similar to what it was. It was signing something that gives somebody, so they can have a paper trail in case you don't appear to the next time, you know. And I figured as much. That's what it was. I might have been wrong, but I didn't sign it anyway. But I'm just sharing my experience with you all, because I'm not flying by the seat of my pants. I'm studying up, no doubt. But it's just new experience for me, because I'm going in there. I'm going in there on my own, doing this and operating within myself. And I know I know it's some things that they probably gave me one of the magistrates probably gave me a window out, and I might not have peeped it, but you know what I mean, because I'm going slow with this, but I'm overstanding that. Every time they keep asking me about this attorney and lawyer, I'm saying no and pro persona, and they just keep resetting it, you know. And now I'm at the point like, okay, well, let me study up and see why, so I can get this over with instead of stopping resetting it, because they just reset it again to the 6th. And I told them this time, that you're gonna. I mean, it's conflicting with my schedule, and you know, and then they just told me, hey, well, you can just go talk to the coordinator and get something situated. But I'm just calling to share my journey. I'm still going at them with them, and this yesterday I said, okay, I gotta go harder with the studying. It's something that I'm missing. So and I don't want to miss it, because I want to get this over with and go back to back to my life. But I just wanted to say thank you to you all, because this is only because of no doubt it's because of me, but the teachings from you all, and it's helping me be, and I'm sure other people too are out there fighting their own battles and learning and becoming to their own self. But I just wanted to share my journey of what I'm going through with you all, because you all give me the strength to go back. You know, when I get nervous, I listen to what Anaid and Rahs. I read the Circle 7 Quran. I don't know if you all know. I'm ordering books. Like every chance I get a little Federal Reserve notice, I'm ordering books on books on books. And I know, just to study up and to gain the proper knowledge I can, so I can be safe here and safe within myself and in protection. But I just want to say thank you, and I'm much appreciative, and I will keep giving you all updates as this goes along.
Wow, Islam. Islam.
So now, and what do you have to say to him about them? They doing to drag you along while they figure out what they're going to do or what he's going to do. That's probably what they're doing it for you, don't you think?
Yeah, I think they trying to shake me up, because one time the lady magistrate, she was trying to go hard on me. You don't know this, you don't know that, and I just said, I don't know what all those penal codes and this, the state of Texas. I just said, you know, I just know what the American Constitution. And when she said she didn't know what Aboriginal was, and I looked at her funny, and I was like, huh? And I told her, I'm sorry.
What I'm finding here is the trickery. I don't know if you caught that, Anaid, or not, in that, if you don't know, they were saying, well, if you're not with our stuff, then you probably don't know what a penal code is then. You know, I found that kind of like trickery, like, like they're saying, they're admitting this is what we do, and obviously you don't know nothing about that because you are some strange person that don't know nothing. And that's when you come in and like, no, you did that right. The law of the land is what the law is, and they're whatever they got going on does not suit. Do you think they're trying to string him along to try to, you know, put the hammer on him at a later time rather than just dismiss it? I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
It's a lesson. Is all I can say. Yeah. It's a lesson
for him. Mm-hmm. In other words, he needs to continue to go through this experience to learn the lesson as he already is doing.
That's correct. Islam, are you still there?
Oh yes, I'm here. I hear the point. I was just listening. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're right. I know it is a lesson that and that's why I'm taking it in as a lesson that I need to learn. I asked you guys before, you know, to the email before, but I thought about it. You know what? This is something that I gotta man up on, because it's not things. It might come across again or something like that. We might not be the same situation, but they're gonna keep coming. So I said, okay, let me man up. Let me walk through the valley, you know, and focus. And this is making me more stronger about everything, because I'm, like I said, not just regarding this. It's about my whole circle of life. I'm getting more stronger about everything and more confident about everything, because I know what I stand for, and I know, starting to know what's right, and that's just, I'm appreciative. It's unfortunate that I came off some Federal Reserve notes, because it is, but I'm feeling like, okay, I can that'll flow full circle too, but I do know that this is a learning process, and it's something that I got to get this done before, not just for myself, before I one day want to have a family, you know, and I want to have to be able to protect my family with the right words and the right actions, instead of just playing the victim, you know, and that's not what I'm on. But I definitely, like I mentioned before, you're absolutely right. This is a lesson, and I'm gonna keep going through it, and we'll keep calling, letting the family know what's going on. And I know I will prevail through this, you know, because it's the law of the land. It's just that, hey, I gotta know my strategy, come up with a stronger strategy, and go back at it.
That's right. That's absolutely correct.
With that, I yield the floor.
All righty, Islam. All righty. All right. Let's see. I believe I have one last caller. Caller 215630.
Islam. This is Tyrone.
Islam.
Northwest of Tim. And I was wanting to thank you all on the show for giving us the proper knowledge moving forward. And one of the main questions that I have pertains to proper protocol. When working on writs and moving forward, I know I'm going to be working on them. I needed to find out, is there a format of the proper entities to send them to as the writs are presented when we're dealing with the foreign invaders?
Well, they're not foreign invaders.
Well, when I say that, I just mean the corporations, the corporate structure that's currently existent. That we're currently.
Well, it depends on what your situation is. It's no straight.
Okay.
It depends on what your situation is, and you know, based on the parties that are involved, you have to research the parties so that you know who exactly you're dealing with. Because in law, the first rule in law is to identify the proper party. So once you identify the parties, then you research who they are, and then you come up with your strategy and your plan, and all of that is based on your cause of action. What happened?
Okay.
Once you write out your cause of action and you read it, you will begin to see how you ought to deal with the situation.
Okay. All right. Moving forward, I'll definitely look at my cause of action a little bit more deeper and try to determine exactly which protocol works best for me in the situations that I'm going to be attacking. But once again, thank you all. I appreciate everything you've been doing.
Well, all righty, and thank you so much for joining in and listening and, taking the appropriate action to study.
Islam.
All right, well, that is the last caller, and let's see, that concludes this broadcast. Make sure and check us out tomorrow for Moors Heritage and History School Circle of Readers. And class starts at 7:30. If you have the book, then you can read and follow along. If not, you can go to the moorishnews.wordpress.com website and go to last Wednesday's class, and you can download the PDF. And if you wait until tomorrow, you can pull it down tonight and start reading tonight. If not, it'll be up on tomorrow's syllabus as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and peace and love to all. Islam.
Indeed. Peace and love, y'all.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the bibliotext that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most believe. So even those who think they're highly educated and this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. The gods are back, the Moors are strapped. We waking up, and we want our land back. Running off, that's a trap. You know them gods don't like that. Waking up from a nap, like where the hell my crown at? Take a step back, like I know this bitch ain't bite back. It's kinda crazy how this karma it strikes back. We enslaved Islam, so they slaved us right back. We called them niggas, then they nigga this right back. We brought them to light, but they ain't bring that right back. If I was lazy, dirty dancing with the baby, then just maybe won't revolt like Haiti. I too smart, love a core, Marcus Garvey your ass. No, but you are leading, God body demand. Now I ain't gotta be bad, and you ain't gotta be mad, but the planet is heating up, so the first I'll be last. I got that melanin, that's better than anything you ever medicine. We at your front door, wonder why you never let us in. Oh, I get it, you never wanted to put some credits in. Well, just forget it, cause I don't know if you can edit sin. We've been enlightened long before Thomas Edison. Skeletons to prove that you wasn't monkey versus elephant. I studied in law, so I ain't down with none of that. I self-law and master, so I'm running that. This Molotov counter burns faster, so I like the match. Despite the fact that ain't even what I'm mad at. I spit the truth, so here's the roof, so you can that. My skin is brown and here's the proof, but you ain't hearing that. Dead in the eyes of the law, that's why they call you black. Naming all caps when you fall, that's why I strike back. And strike that from the record ab initio. You gon' need more than some pressure, I got a vicious flow. I can take the road to the high, or I can hit them low. Try to calcify my third eye, or you gon' have to go. Chemtrails all over the sky, and you don't wanna know. Doggone inside of my tribe, they coming no more.
If you believe that your history started on a slave boat, I can guarantee you that's where it ended too. That's what I'm saying. Then after saying that, and so don't believe me, go back and do some studies past the 1700s, and I'll guarantee you, sure as you're sitting there listening or wherever you are, watching, listening, you will find nothing but the word more. And that's another thing. Because we weren't called black. That the description, maybe, black or more or whatever, but that's it. Know the difference between a description and an actual, person, place, or thing, noun. I mean, really.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows except those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. From the pyramids to the project, the beginning is the part they want you to forget. Implant your memory with that noose around your neck. It's the King Alpha plan and it's set in full effect. The butler, the help, and 12 years a slave. Django and Selma, they get them accolades. They made a movie called Exodus about the gods and kings with an all-white cast from Egypt. Now that's the same. They ain't never seen no movie about no European slaves. We were traveling the seas when they was living in caves. We had to civilize them, show them how to behave. In fact, we brought them light and taught them how to bathe. This is trading places with stolen identity. We agreed to be educated by our own enemy. Reverse psychology, I'ma need a lobotomy. An exorcism just to get this shit about me. Rahsmariah, Anaid, Mizraim, Tariq, Kudjo from Canaanland. Listen to them speak. I done learned from the best. I don't need no DNA test. The nations in my womb has given from the breast. The empire's back, so you know what's next. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess. Yes, yes. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess.
Birthright theft. The whole deal was, where's my land that, for them? The whole deal was like, this is really quote-unquote promised land. This is really the quote-unquote heart of civilization. This is really what you might call Northwest Africa. That's what, and I say that to people so they can stop saying I'm going back to Africa and understand that they're in it. It's the Garden of Eden.
That's what they had in Columbus's journal that they arrived
Absolutely.
in Eden.
So what has happened is absolute lies. That's right. And the land of milk and honey is another terminology. So these things are important because as you're doing studies, and if it says the land of milk and honey, you need to know they're talking about the North American continent. If you don't know that, then you miss it. And that's part of our problem. That part of our problem is the miseducation. We have been lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to.